thanks for joining us for another episode of Already Won, a Sports Friends podcast. Each week, Coach Ben and Coach Kyle share their insights, interview special guests, and offer some extra words of wisdom. The victory is ours because we've already won.
Hello and welcome to Already Won, a Sports Friends podcast. I'm your host, the Wildcat, Ben Wellman. I'm on here with the maddest of doggy dogs, Kyle Epps.
Listen, we couldn't leave you with 12 episodes. We had to do a 13. We couldn't leave you with 13 episodes. We're doing 14. In fact, we may go to 15, Ben, at this rate. We may just do a whole season 2, 30 episodes. What do you think?
Just keep going. Just keep the good times rolling. That's what people are saying. This is the bonus episode. Bonus footage, man.
Bonus in blue. I love it.
Okay, the season 2 in blue. Last week we had the global leader, Bob Kramer. And then this week we've got someone at the younger end of the age spectrum, right?
Yeah, and well, just so we clarify this for all our listeners and viewers, that we were not forced to have Bob on the show. He came willingly. In fact, we wanted him as a guest. So let's get that out of the room first. If we weren't, this wasn't sort of a conscription thing. We wanted him on. We did, and he did a great job. But this week we do. We have someone younger, someone who's newer to Sports Friends. She was an intern with Sports Friends, and she did a great job while she was with us.
Exactly. Well, we're looking forward to meeting her. I'm sure you can tell us a little bit more about it in a second. But in the world of sport, what's going on, Mad Dog? I'm very excited about the start of the NFL season. Last week, you joked on that, saying the Panthers, it's not their year. Who's going to win? Who's going to win this year, Super Bowl?
Well, I already said with Mike, it's going to be the Packers. I mean, who else is going to make the Super Bowl? I mean, it's wide open. It's going to be the Packers for sure. We're just calling right now, Packers.
Well,
Packers.
We had Jacob Mertens on there who said, Houston Texans.
That's
and we
true,
also had Antoine Caldwell, Pastor Chad. We're bigging up the Texans as well. So let's see. It's all open. It's all open out there. I wonder if, Kansas City Chiefs, if they can do it again. I mean,
Nope.
Yeah, let's see. Well, I mean, that's for the world of sport in American football. But today we've got a guest who doesn't play American football, but does something within America, which is something that you have always wanted to do in the Olympics, right, Kyle? You're going to start training?
I could never, ever. I've watched this sport be performed. In high school, we had the teams, the girls and the boys team. I always looked in amazement, like, how on earth do they do half the stuff they do? So there's no aspiration here. It's just a fan. I'm just a fan of gymnastics. So this week, we have Donna Catherine Roy, DK as she goes by, who competes in gymnastics at Western Michigan University, right across the pond from me here. She's an academic all-MAC conference. She helped Western Michigan University in the MAC Conference Championship in 2024, and she's gone back for her. So she's propelled Western Michigan University to high levels in her conference and in the nationals, NCAA Gymnastics, and she's going back for her last year. Be exciting to follow her.
Love it. Well, you were not blessed with agility and flexibility, but DK was. And look, we're looking forward to find out a little bit about what that looks like in her world, being one, a Christian, knowing that she's already won, but then the challenges around that as well. I don't know what it's like in the US, but in the UK, when you go to kind of university level, you are faced with kind of challenges that you've never faced with before. You leave your parents, you then leave your friendship circles a lot of the time, you reinvent yourself. So your whole identity is like, you've got a chance to basically recreate it, right? So some people go off the scales and go partying crazy and, open themselves up to all the temptations of the world and stuff. So it's a difficult place to be at times. So we're going to talk a little bit about that with DK a little bit, dig into that. And then we're also going to find out a bit about how she found her experience as intern. She's intern with Sports Friends as well, right, Mad Dog, around it for the summer. So great opportunity to dive in around her reflections. Like we said last week, Bob, the global leader, now we've got our intern as well. So we bring you contrast, don't we, on this podcast? We bring you
across the spectrum. We're bringing you old, young, new employee, old employee, anywhere, professional, not professional. I was pointing at myself for those.
That's it. There you go. That's it. I was thinking the same. So yeah, no, wide, broad range with different people who've all got a lot of insight and some wisdom and some golden nuggets to share.
Golden nuggets. I'm sure this week we'll have some Wildman's weekly wisdom as well. Words.
Some people, be asking for that, so we'll definitely get some of that. We're also going to have some listeners' questions, by the way, at the end.
Oh, that'll be exciting. Stick around to the end, folks.
And if you've got a question, stick it in the chat. If you're on Facebook, stick it on the chat. Or if you're on the tube of YouTube, stick it in the comments. We'll get to that for our episode next week. We're excited. Episode 15. Isn't it right, Mad Dog? Keep sending them in. Keep sending them in. Nice. Well, let's get her in then. We have DK. DK, welcome.
Hello. Good to be here.
We've got a very special guest. DK has been interning with us. And more than that, we're going to find out more about her. So, DK, we always ask this question, but what does the phrase already won mean to you?
I think it just brings to mind to me like Christ's finished work on the cross and how he's already won. He's already defeated death. And so just thinking about like with it leaning into sports, being like, yeah, my identity does not come from the meets that I win or the things that I perform, but it just comes, from my relationship with him and how he is the one who has done the work, finished. I don't have to work for my salvation, and just thinking about how I've already won, not through myself, but through him.
So, Dika, as a student, you're also probably spending a lot of time, if not more time, in the gym as a gymnast. So, can you tell us about what your sport is at your school and how you came about choosing gymnastics and all that?
Yeah, so I started gymnastics when I was 6 years old. I went to like a bring a friend day at the gym, and I just like fell in love with it, and have been competing kind of ever since. Kind of took it to the next level, I guess, in high school, and I really was like, okay, like my dream is to do college gymnastics. And so I was like training really hard, and sending out emails everywhere, trying to just get one answer from any college coach anywhere, just being very desperate. It was kind of very, I don't know, I was just super worried about it, and I wasn't really trusting much like in the Lord and in his plan at that time. And kind of as a junior, kind of some plans fell through that I was really counting on. And I was just really like, oh my goodness, like what am I doing with my life? And just was kind of, just really felt sad about things. And then I was like, okay, let me just try one last time, send out some more emails to some more colleges. And so I got in contact with Western Michigan University, and got in contact with the coaches, and it was kind of like a last minute recruit. I was the 8th one recruited for our freshman class out of 8. I was able, they gave me a scholarship, which is just like such a blessing, and really was like, okay, like I'm doing this. I'm going to go. I'm from South Carolina, so had to go 12 hours away from home for school, but it was really my like dream came true, I guess, and I got to do this in college. And so I just finished up my junior year, and there's definitely been highs and lows and everything through it all, and just has really like tested my faith, but also just grown it in so many different ways. As for like a practice schedule specifically, we train about 20 hours a week, and then we have a spring season, so we'll be competing kind of every weekend starting in January all the way through the end of this the semester. So it's a lot, but I love it, and we've gotten to travel to some fun places. It's been awesome.
Sounds great. Now, I don't know what it's like studying in the US, but in the UK, when people go to university, you're thrown at your everything, any sort of temptation. You know, you're away from your parents. You know, you're playing sport. What was that like for you going there, kind of doing your gymnastics, and then also like your friends? And just what was it like being a Christian while doing all that stuff?
Yeah, that's a great question. So for me, I kind of started getting, I got saved when I was 7, and I just kind of like was like, yeah, sure, Christianity, whatever. But then like in high school, I like went off to a Christian camp in Tennessee, and like through that was whenever I like started to read the Bible for myself, actually start asking questions and like, okay, how can God be good when there's so much evil in the world, and those kind of things, and just started to like solidify my faith and actually just like follow Jesus in his way. And so going into college, I was like, okay, this is going to be hard. Like I know this is a public university. There's going to be everything at my fingertips, and that's not what following Christ is going to look like. It's going to look like being different. It's going to look like standing out and being bold. And so, going in, I think I was able to go in with like a lot of prayer and just a lot of, I was unsure, but I was also just very much trusting that, the Lord was with me and that I could lean on him. And so especially those first like few months as a freshman were hard, just kind of balancing like, okay, I want to be a part of the team because I want to obviously do my sport because I love it, but also I want to be a light for Christ, and I want to use that in a way, use my sport as a way to glorify him through the gifts that he's given me. And so just being able to really choose between, okay, like I want to be there for my teammates, but also I want to, be a light to them, and just doing that, I think, just had to like build up a reputation for myself of being like, okay, she's not going to like go to the parties and do these things, but she does care about the team and wants to like be with everyone and like be there for them. And so, that's kind of what it's been like, but.
Great. Good. Well, in the midst of all that, in the midst of studying, in the midst of balancing your sport and everything, you've managed to do an internship with Sports Friends. So tell us a little bit about that. What kind of things you've been up to? How long was it? And how has it been?
Yes. So I'm majoring in sports management, and my second major is communications. And so Sports Friends really just fit in with everything that I was needing for my internship that I needed to graduate. And so I kind of started talking with them last fall, and like went through the application process. And then this summer, I got placed to do a remote part of the internship and then an in-person part. And so at the beginning of the summer, I was able to stay in the U.S. and I was working with refugees in the community with a team there who was like putting on a soccer camp for the kids in the area. And that was just so awesome. I did that for 2 weeks. And so it was a lot of like behind the scenes prep work going into like the scheduling and getting the volunteers and training them and doing that. And then we ran the 3-day camp. So being there those days, making sure the kids were in the right group and just making sure all the games were running smoothly and planning that out. So I did that. And then afterwards I was there for another week. And so that was looking like doing the follow-up with the volunteers, because we were like partnering with the local church there. And so just like making sure that they felt cared for and recognized, and like we thank them for volunteering with the kids, and like hoping to build that relationship so that whenever they start soccer like club in the fall, that we'll have more volunteers and coaches to do that with the kids, with the refugees in the area. And so that was just so awesome. But it was pretty quick, so it was only 2 weeks, and then I came back home, and I've been working remote for the rest of the summer, and I've been working under the communications director for Sports Friends, and I've kind of been helping like run the social media, and then also just writing different things like blog posts and editing some videos, and just like helping give ideas and just different meetings and stuff like that. And it's been a very growing experience for me, like growing in creative ways, and then also just like learning like what it's like to be in a nonprofit and like how that works, being a part of this like sports ministry, using sports as a tool to share the gospel with kids, but in a more indirect way during the remote part, and how like every piece fits together, and you need people running the social media, even though I'm not the one directly working with the kids. Like that is a vital part of, because we need it for like fundraising and to make all of the other parts of everything work, if that makes sense. So I've learned a lot, and it's been amazing.
Well, I think she's covering things up. She doesn't want to speak too ill of the British. I mean, Kat, you're working with, and now you're talking to Ben. I know it's difficult. I have a difficult time understanding words he uses, the tone, the pace. So, you know, we're not. Well, I'll fill in the blanks for our audience, our listeners, and our viewers. That, you know, it's been a growing experience, I'm sure, learning about Sports Friends. So
yeah.
But so as you took all that and you kind of saw as you kind of helped write the posts and different things, and you saw some of the podcasts. We're not looking for fame or kind of pat on the back here, but as you listen to season 2 or anything from that, any of the guests, we kind of provide the global perspective of sports ministry. And what guests did you enjoy, or what kind of things you like listening to?
Yes, I have been loving the podcast. You guys are doing such a great job with it.
You need a raise, what you need.
I think my favorite episode from this past season a few weeks ago was Sarah Chahurduri. And just her experience with like rowing and being on the Olympic team. I think that was just so awesome, especially with like watching the Olympics and then hearing from her and her like as a Christian in that space and how she's used that. And just how she was talking about using the disappointments that she's went through and how God has used those to glorify himself more through that and through her talent. And so I just was really encouraged by that episode, and it was my favorite.
Yeah, that was a really good one. I think so authentic in what you shared around like disappointment as well is really good for everyone listening. I would like to say, DK, as well, you've done Tuesday Takeover as well, Takeover Tuesday, and that's something that people can look at as well on social media, and that's something that your legacy will live on a little bit as well. People can go to the YouTube channel and watch that as well, the shorts as well. So DK has helped our team and staff do that as well. So
on Tuesdays, is she like the director? Is that what you mean by Takeover? Like she's the global
taking over.
leader?
She's taking over for every Tuesday going forward. Yeah,
hey, all about the opportunity.
There we go. We give the opportunities. Yeah, no, but you've enjoyed Sarah's episode, but obviously season 2 we had like a topic and a tool. So there was meant to be like a topic of every episode loosely, and then there's a tool at the end that the guest gave. What kind of things, was there any threads or themes or anything that stood out for you when you were listening?
Yeah, I think most impactful, I think a lot of different people kind of touched on this a little bit, but just hearing about mentorship and the importance of that, and just like the idea that like, yes, you need to be learning from someone older than you, and then also as yourself, you can be sharing what you know with like the younger generation, and just that discipleship / accountability aspect to sports itself, but then also much more importantly, like your faith and growing in your relationship with the Lord. And I just think I've really appreciated each person's like perspective on that, and how mentorship has been a part of their life, and how they are like wanting to share that with others. And just like Sports Friends as a whole, it's kind of like the whole heart behind the ministry is like, yeah, we want to raise up the next generation to be Christ followers, and we can do that through providing them with a coach, and like through not only training the coach, but having the coach train the athlete. And so I think that's just such a cool thing, and has been impactful in my own life, having mentors, and just like I want to like continue that in the future. And so learning more about that is always super helpful and encouraging for me.
I thought you were going to put her on the spot, Ben, and say, what was the Wildman's weekly wisdom or words do you have? I'm glad. He does this. He wants to get his own,
No.
his ego.
No. All the wisdom is from the guests. We just wrap it up at the end.
Oh, that's okay. So
that's
she's
why we do. Yeah, that's why we interview other people. You see, that's why.
Yeah. So let's finish with this, DK. I mean, I know that you're going back to school. You got 1 year left. You had a little glimpse. You got behind the curtain of Sports Friends and ministry and different things. So as a student, an athlete, and a Christian, what advice do you have for other young adults looking for opportunities and even careers?
Yeah. I would say, again, talking about mentorship, like just be sharing with other people what you've learned, and just be like a lifelong learner. I think for me, just always be reading something, listening to podcasts, like learning things, watching the YouTube videos about something you're interested in, like just growing in that area. And then of course, like your daily time with the Lord is like invaluable. Like that's how you grow, is like through seeking to learn. And so I think, you can never know it all. So that's what I would kind of just say, and what has helped me, and like,
You're already giving Ben nuggets. He's got a golden nugget.
That's some good nuggets.
Be a lifelong
learner. You know why? Because all leaders are readers, and every day's a school day. So what you just said there, DK, brilliant. And look, if any of DK's friends are watching, the younger generation, do please share the podcast and share the social media and stuff like that, because we need more people in this generation and who are kind of listening and engaging, and also being a voice as well. I know, DK's just shared some great wisdom there. And I think we need to hear from that next generation as well, of younger leaders as well. So, DK, thank you for what you've shared. Thank you for just what you brought to Sports Friends in the time. You've been a great blessing and an asset to us. And we look forward to you graduating next summer and hearing more about your sporting career and what you continue to do on in the future as well. And just remember, you've already won.
Well, thank you guys. It's been an honor.
Good stuff. Short and sweet. Love it.
Really good. Really good to have DK on, share about her experience, obviously, with the internship. Like I said, we've actually got Takeover Tuesday, which is now happening now as a result of DK doing the internship. She reviewed all of our social media platforms, and now Takeover Tuesday is her legacy that she's doing. So you can check it out online and in shorts as well.
Are they coming for our jobs? Because aren't we on Tuesdays?
We're on Tuesdays.
Oh.
They're taking over. No, we're out of a job. There you go. But that's what we're here for. But no, I liked, her reflections on it. She's part of her internship was listening to us. I don't know. Sorry that she got.
Oh, so she's a paid listener. Now we can't even listen to her. Oh man.
We need to start giving a Patreon subscription to people who want to pay. No, she's obviously listened to that. But I loved her reflection about mentorship. Someone who's willing to be teachable, to learn, and the importance of having a mentor. And she picked that up a little bit as well, right? We spoke about that a little bit. Obviously, the whole point of an intern is that they are mentored by someone. She was mentored by our comms director of communications. She mentored her a little bit as well, which is great, So someone a little bit further down the line in age and wisdom experiences helping mentoring. And we heard that from all of our guests, right, Mad Dog, around that and importance of having a good coach. Remember, in Sports Friends, coaches and mentors. And I think that's one reason why, the ministry's growing, because we train coaches to be more than coaches and to be mentors, right? You've had first-hand experience of that in West Africa and the new regions you're overseeing now, right?
Oh, yeah. But, it's all about, she kind of alluded to this. She'll go back to school. She's, when you're in a division that you were mentioning before she came on, was about kids go to school and they get caught up in certain things if they're not solid on a solid foundation. So as a Christian athlete, she's pretty much being around her team 24/7. She does training with them morning, afternoon, goes on road trips with them. So she's with them quite a bit. So her faith has to be well founded and solid. So I think it's good to hear from her, especially someone that's going back to the school and to live it out. So, I always this is an awesome anecdote. So I'm going to drop her before Wildman's weekly words. Yeah. God doesn't ask for your ability; He asks for your availability. So are you available to help serve Him?
So good. Well, we're going to go to some listeners' questions now, and we're going to talk about
before Wild. Okay, I was premature.
Well, no, it's good. Well, keep the listeners listening. Give them some of that stuff. Keep them going. But listeners' questions, we've got a few sent in. Let me read them out. The first question, Mad Dog, you can take the first one, and then I can go as well and add some of my piece. So, a listener says this: how do you tackle this issue whereby you want to win lives to Christ, but at the same time win games? And in winning games as a coach, you feature the best players of the team and others start to feel left out. And some decide to leave the team while others develop low self-esteem.
Yeah, this is the crux of the matter. Oftentimes, whenever you get into competitions, you want to minister not just your team, but maybe possibly other team, possibly the fans or spectators, and possibly occasionally the referees. So I don't know. These are things you set up always at the beginning of a season, right? You set up expectations of the players needing development in specific areas like offense, defense, footwork, handwork, whatever. You kind of work with each individual. But as a team, you do the same thing. So you maybe tell them from the beginning, there'll be games where everyone plays. There'll be games where that sometimes not everyone plays. We're trying to win the game and show people we're just as competitive as they are. But at the same time, you're bringing the team along. So you don't just drop them off and leave them to suffer on the bench. What do you think, Ben?
Yeah, I think within our Sports Friends training, we try and put this on the training like straight away, the whole sports ministry thing, like our whole thing with Sports Friends is we're here to make disciples of Jesus, right? So that's why we're doing what we're doing, right? We're not training people to be Olympic athletes. We're not training them to go and win the World Cup, right? But this is something that we're doing, like the focus is what we're doing. But of course, the game of sport, you want to win, right? There's nothing wrong with doing that. The competition, striving against components. That word, like competition, means competier, which means to strive against people. to compete in a way, which I think is a neutral thing. It can be a neutral thing. So wanting to win is not a bad thing, but I think it's when it comes at a cost. This is what you talked about there. When you then start shifting players around and bringing in better players just because you want to win, like the question listeners asked here, well, obviously people are going to start to have low self-esteem. Hang on, you've brought in other players. What's going on here? I thought this coach, you like me and love me unconditionally, and here we go. You brought in. You clearly just want to win, and of course, we say it's all about relationship, right, with the coach and the kid. And when that happens, it can get a bit messy. Now, for me with this is something this is why I always say there's 4 phases within coaching. So you've got the play phase, under 6 to under 8, foundation phase, under 8 to under 12, youth development phase, under 12 to under 16, professional phase, 17 plus. When you get to 17 plus, it's all about winning. Like, the game is all about, like, we need to win. We're training to win. Like I say, it gets in that, like, professional phase. That's what it's all about. 12 to 16, they want to win as well. But youth development, it should be about the development as they're growing physically, as they're going through puberty, as they're physically growing, as they're emotionally growing, psychologically growing, and going through all sorts of challenges that are unique to that phase. How do you help them there? Now, the younger you go, the foundation phase, the play phase, this is where I think it's not all about winning. It's not about winning at all costs. And that's why within Sports Friends, we try and say, look, can you try and coach these younger age groups? Because with a church-centered sports ministry, the coach should be setting it up and keeping those players and working with those players that are part of the team, right? You don't want to go and sign a, Neymar from a neighboring village or whatever, So I think if you kind of do that, maybe you stick with it. I think you cannot have a win at all costs attitude, right? Around that.
Definitely not. And then that goes back to kind of what you're saying, and kind of what I said is that the beginning of the year, after you, hopefully you've completed the training and you've passed your assessment, so you understand what the concept is not, our scoreboard's different, right? So how do you get to that point, and set those goals and make sure the team is brought along? Yep, I love it.
Yeah, I think it's hard. I mean, I think about a time when I led a men's team and this happened, and you've got pressure on you. I've got a friend who plays, he's this and he's that. They used to play semi-pro, and it's like, there's pressures, especially when you're leading like an adults men's team. So I don't know the listener if they're coach themselves who like coaching different age groups, but there is another question around that. I hope we can answer that a little bit. Yeah. Next question is, how do you coach teams once players hit the age of 18 plus? So
you just said it. You just said that you don't. You leave them alone.
Well, it's a different challenge, right? Like what you say to adults is very different to what you say to young players, right? You can't. But I think with adults, that having those expectations is good. But yeah, I think obviously each age group has challenges and blessings. I think whether you work with 8-year-olds or whether you work with 18-year-olds, I think just thinking about this a little bit, like I have some coaches that have like specialized in certain age groups, like under 18s, for example. They then know how 17-year-olds really react in that time, So the more you coach a certain age group, the more comfortable you get with coaching certain players. So maybe if you've only had experience of coaching like 7-year-olds, 8-year-olds, then going up to coaching 18-plus-year-olds, you're going to make some mistakes. I've made some horrendous blunders when I've went from different age groups and thought, gosh, I should not have tried that with this age group. What worked with a different age group definitely didn't work with this. So, there's a lot of learning, reflection, within Sports Friends, we say, can you do these 3 things? Plan, do, review. Can you plan your session? Can you do the session? And then can you review the session? And the more that you make that a cycle of planning, do, and review, plan, do, review, the more you can think what's working well in this age group and what's not working well. And, there's going to be unique challenges, right, at the age of 18 plus as well. Yeah.
I mean, so that's what we've always done. We've obviously, that when you start with 12 and under, they're going to get older every year. It's just natural. By the time they're 18 plus, by the time they're 16, you should have already been working into them. Is this player going to achieve elite status? Can they even, do they have that potential? So you already, if you coach that child or the coach or who's bringing them in, that's part of it. So when they hit 18 and above, either they're going all out to try to prove to the world that they're the next Ronaldo or whoever, but they've got to have expectations. But at the same time, you can still use them in Sports Friends. And that's what we've tried to do is have them help with the drills, the games, the skills, working with the children as far as being a coach, right? Because that's the next thing. If they don't make it to elite and they can't go on, are they going to be shattered? Yes. Are they going to give up? Some will, but can you give them something else to do? like as far as coaching and helping, that gives them a sense of purpose as well.
I like that. I really like that. I mean, the dropout rate when you go from playing with kids and players your own age to then going from over 18, you're then in with men or women. Some men have got, they know how to play sport. They play dirty. You've got all the tactics to try and intimidate you. Look, it is hard to step up a lot of the time. Some people can't do that. And therefore, the dropout rate is quite high as well. But like you say, within the world of sports, friends, we have them go to be assistant coaches, go back in, do a lot of the coaching side of things and stuff, and then raise them up as leaders, for the next generation so they can impact the next generation, the younger generation as well. So great advice there, Mad Dog. Like I always say, like, what's an appropriate challenge for the players in your age group? So 18-year-old adults can really get pushed. Can you challenge them to run a certain distance when they're not with you, for example, to improve their fitness? Can you challenge them to go and do whatever, so it's not just in their contact time with you, they do other stuff outside it as well. So yeah, loads of different tips on there, right? I mean, we could talk about this for a long time. We actually have in our training level 2, we have some age-specific coaching training. What does it look like to train young people at these different phases? I mentioned those 4 phases: the play phase, foundation phase, youth development phase, and professional phase. We have got some tips, advice around what that looks like from different coaches in our fields and stuff, right? So if you're interested in that, hey, we can do that. Also, if you're interested in an internship, Mad Dog, can people get in touch to do an internship?
They certainly can, Ben Wildcat. They can indeed. So if you send us an email, info@sports-friends.org, we'll get you set up.
Love it. I mean, season 3, we may be able to get people to be interns for season 3. They can be emailing the guests, when we get Michael Jordan and Del Curry on, they'll be emailing them, so that's what'll be happening.
Sky's the limit. Sky's the limit.
There you go. Lots of things they can do, whether you don't have to love sport to be involved in sports ministry. Maybe you've got an administrative background. Maybe you've got social media as your thing. Maybe it's making videos, anything, around it. If you've got 5 hours a month, hit us up. You can help
Steven
us out.
Spielberg could join us?
Happy people have seen your videos, Mad Dog, and these trailers for these things, and they're thinking, is that Spielberg? No, it's Kyle. It is Kyle. So people sent out another listener's question. Is that Spielberg?
That's another listener's question, yeah. That was a bonus question.
That wasn't a question, but put it in, guys.
Is that my mom who wrote that?
There you go. No, but last thing, let's look a bit of Wildman's Weekly Word.
We do love it. We've already had awesome anecdotes, so let's get some WWW.
Hey, look, this is what it is. Actually, a bit of reflection, okay? So my question is, when it comes to your learning within the whole of season 2, okay?
Are you asking me or are you asking the audience?
I'm asking you and the audience, but this is you can think about it as well. You can ponder on this. What did you believe before season 2? What did you believe before season 2? Maybe it was something around like you didn't need a mentor, or maybe it was something around when adversity comes, that was it. Your career. We heard from Charlie Ward. Adversity was the very thing that helped them kick on. Or other people have said that the challenges that they faced, their test became their testimony. What was the moment that it changed for you? Was it when you heard Bishop Tony talk about certain things within sports ministry? Was it when Bob Kramer talks about how sports ministry is a really intentional evangelism and discipleship? Is that the moment that it changed? And then lastly, what do you now believe going forward? So maybe going forwards, maybe you've come out of it with some tools and thought, you know what, that was a great tool to eat more with people. Like Lance said about, spending time with people. What does that look like? Or maybe, I was listening back and I heard from Chad talking about the different type of books that he has. I've now started giving categories around what books I can read. Maybe I could read a book about leadership, or it could be something completely separate from coaches. So I've tried to implement that in my life a little bit as well. So Wildman's Weekly Words. What do you believe before? What was the moment it changed? And what does it look like now going forwards? That is some Wildly Weekly Words. What do you think, Mad Dog?
It's a microphone dropping right there.
There we go.
I believe that we can win. I believe that we can win. It's a chant we sing here in the U.S. I'm not sure you sing in the U.K. because you guys don't win in basketball.
We certainly don't. No. What's the chant go like, just so you know?
I believe I'm not going to sing it. I'll put it out. I'll play it right now.
Video Mad Dog this week. We've got DK's Legacy. DK set up. Take up Tuesday. We've got the guys in Kenya now. 60 seconds. Tuesday takeover. This is a day in the life of what looks like. You can go to YouTube, go to playlist, go to Tuesday Takeover, which is next to the Already Won podcast, and you can watch these. So
it's not replacing the Already Won podcast.
It's a supplement.
Okay, let's just get that straight, people. We're not going off the air yet. Season 3 still in the plans. We're still planning on it.
Pending.
You're saying there's a chance.
We have to qualify for season 3 first. If
right.
the US qualify for the World Cup, we'll do season 3. Let's watch the video. Tuesday takeover.
Tuesday takeover. Take a look. Below your waist.
Songo najigeuza.
Mkono mbili.
Good video.
Very good. Tuesday takeover. You're not being replaced, Mad Dog. You're not being replaced. More content, more footage. It's what people want. It's what people want.
What they want. They want it. We give it. We supply what the people want. We meet demands.
That's what we do. But next week, we are being demanded to be in person. So we are going to be in person next week, right? We're going to be together.
Are we getting together? Are we going to have a good time to review? I mean, it seems like it's just providential that we get to do the reviews together.
There you go. No, we're actually doing a training in Southeast Asia where we're going to be together. And within that, we will film together a review. And look, season 2, there's been a coach focus, and there's been topics and there's been tools. So what we're going to do is we're going to review the topics and we're going to review the tools. So next week in person, no wall, no virtual wall.
Do we have a bookshelf? Do you bring some books?
I'm actually bringing some of our resources to give out, but we will make sure that we find a bookshelf somewhere where we're going in our top secret location. We will find a bookshelf and then we will shoot the review in person next week.
Okay, I'll make sure I send an advance notice. Please find us a bookshelf. Good. So next week we wrap up, folks. Don't miss it. If you've stuck around for us for 2 seasons, next week's going to be the cream or the cherry on the top. So
the cream and the cherry and cream on the top.
Or the blueberry. The blueberry.
There we go. There we go. I didn't know blueberries go on cakes, but there we go.
Doesn't matter. Well, are you going to tell your friends to watch next week? And you're going to tell those friends to tell their friends. Of course, make sure your parents are watching. Have a viewers party because their parents are going to bring their friends. You know, we're just kind of a big time. Good old time. Wrapping it up, baby.
Thanks again for joining us on Already Won, a Sports Friends podcast. Please like, share, and subscribe on your